Telephone me, please.
Hi Hayley, how are you?
Hi Pete, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. Something tells me you got a postcard recently.
I got a card today through the post, yeah. And I recognised the writing and opened it with much trepidation. It was a beautiful card, very appropriate for my taste and stuff. And I thought, oh, this looks hopeful. And then I read the message inside and I thought, oh dear.
Oh
I know what's happened here. I know what's happened here. That's why I contacted you. Because I haven't heard from him for so long, and it was a kind of a blow to read it.
Yeah. Do you think this
just kind of reaffirms what's going on?
Yeah. Do you think this could be a response to you talking to me and me posting that on YouTube?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at possible. So what did it actually?
But I'm not certain.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. What did it actually say then?
Still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, I'm here. I'm here. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Pete.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah?
Okay, that's Skype for you. So what did the card actually say?
I wrote it down because I didn't keep the card, I'm afraid. I just wanted to get it out of the house when I saw it. It said, you said if you review the things you have done to us that you think we don't know about, you will feel a lot happier about us.
That actually sounds threatening to me. Like the first part sounds threatening.
Yeah, I don't know. It did shake me a little. If you review the things you've done to us that you think we don't know about,
well, it implies
you
that they
feel a lot happier about us. What does it mean?
It implies that they know things about you that you don't know they know, and
what have I done to them?
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Well,
he's
this
accusing me of having done things, and he's terming himself as us.
Exactly.
Rather than him.
Yeah.
So he's dragged the split out. It confirmed to me, this is what horrified me, and my son agreed, and my son read it, and he said that is just indicative of how much control that they have.
Exactly.
It's Scientology versus me.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with our personal relationship.
Exactly.
And I thought, oh my God, this is worse than I even suspected.
Yeah, just a bit of background on that. When you are a Scientologist, you read Ron Hubbard's policy letters, and he says that there are no critics of Scientology that do not have crimes that would stand your hair on end, or a magistrate's hair on end. So basically,
I don't have any crimes.
No, I don't either. But he convinces Scientologists that if you are critical of Scientology, you must have hidden secret crimes. Now, they might be big, they might be small. That's not the issue. If you criticize Scientology in any way, shape or form, according to them, you have crimes, and that's where this is coming from.
That's really what that letter is saying. It's accusing me of being a criminal.
Absolutely. Now, there's another thing in Scientology which says criticism implies overts. I don't know if you've came across the term overts before.
Yes.
But it's a transgression, basically.
That you haven't declared, yeah?
Right. So the other thing there is that criticism implies overt. So when a person is being critical, it means that they've done things that they shouldn't have done, or didn't do things that they should have done. That whole gamut, if you like, of behaviour. It's actually not true, and strangely enough,
but it's insane, Pete. It's got nothing.
It is totally insane.
It's about our personal relationship. It's about me losing someone that I love and still love, and the very fact that he's written that is him admitting that they have an involvement in our personal relationship.
Absolutely true.
He's accepted that.
And you dared to criticise Scientology, so
it's the fact that he must know this. Can he not see that that is wrong?
I think there's a part of the person that does see that it's wrong, but that's not the part of him that wrote to you, you know?
No, that's exactly what I said to my son. son, that's not him. And he said, no, Mum, that's not him. Because, you know, my son was very close. And we were talking about it today, and it actually made me cry. I said to my boy, you know, I don't hate him. And I don't have any hope of any reconciliation while he's in Scientology. But even while he's in, I don't hate him. I love him. I'm concerned for him.
And rightly so.
He said, I know that, Mum. I know. I cannot fully understand. He said, it's not his writing it, though. But he said himself when he read it, it's very, very frightening when you read that to realise just how much he is controlled by them.
Yeah, it was when you read it out that it came across as more sinister to me as well. Like when I read it initially, I just took it on board. But when you actually read it aloud, I thought, that is creepy. You know, that is
You're the first person I thought, when I read it for half an hour, I walked around the house, and it's the first concert I've had for months. So obviously it hit me because, like I say, it's someone that I really care about and can't have any contact with anymore.
Right.
And then I wandered around for about half an hour thinking, my God, what does this mean? And I had an idea what it meant. And then I thought, I know, people know what it means.
Yeah.
And rather than dwelling on it and letting it eat me up all day and be enraged and upset, which is what they want. These are like buttons again that they push.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I'll tell you something really interesting as well, that deep down, L. Ron Hubbard knew that it wasn't criticism that was an overt that caused the problem with Scientology. I think Dennis Ehrlich told this story, I think, and maybe somebody else backed him up. It might have been Bill Franks, actually. But they were investigating why people were leaving the ship and why they couldn't get them back and why they wanted to have nothing more to do with it. And obviously they believed that, the person had overts and they were critical. So they did an investigation and they presented the findings to Hubbard. And apparently Hubbard came back and said, okay, what really drives people away is when they're upset with us. But sit on this, don't let anybody know, because if this ever gets out, Scientology is finished. And I thought, whoa. So really,
strangely enough, Pete.
Yes.
I was rereading some of John Atack's book, and I was reading that exact thing yesterday morning before I went to work.
Oh my God, seriously?
That thing you've just been discussing.
Oh my God. So basically, we have Scientologists who follow Hubbard's policy in tech, and they don't even realise that Hubbard knew himself that it was all a load of, a crock of shit. Let's not mince words,
It is this is something that I have found. It has got inside my head, and it's made your brain can't ache. There's no pain receptors there, but it has made me so anguished and enraged because there are things that he did and said which clearly indicated to me that he knew it was crap.
Yeah.
And he just kept going along with it. One of them was that I think I mentioned in my interview with you before about the touch assists.
Oh God.
Now he would often ask me for them if he had something like he had a lot of coughs and things, persistent coughs. And one thing I noticed was he would ask for a touch assist for it after he'd had the cough for a couple of weeks. And you know how your body automatically starts to heal. Your illness goes from mild to a peak, and then begins to recede again. It's part of the healing process, and then it goes. He would always ask the assist when it was on the wane. Almost as if he thought, well, it'll go, and then I can say to it, it worked.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
yeah.
said that to him. I said, why didn't you ask me on the day you started coughing?
Yeah. Self-deception is definitely part of it.
He knows it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
So why is he doing? He's trying to convince himself all the time, and if he's doing that, he must have doubt.
Yeah, you have to. And I think the further you go in,
I don't know.
I think the further you go in, the more you deceive yourself.
Another really strange incident on the same line. We were out last year. He took me for a wonderful day out to this medieval fair. Because, like I say, he's an absolute sweetheart about the Scientology. Otherwise, I would have just said, "Oh, right, bugger off. I can't be bothered." I just don't want it. It's someone I care about, and I can see what's going to happen in his life when he's old. We went to this lovely day out, and we were having a great time. And then these two young girls of about 10 and 11 walked past, and one of them had a yellow T-shirt on that said "flag" something or other. It was nothing to do with Scientology, but he seized on it, went up to her, said, "Have you been to this something flag?" And he started asking her questions about Scientology, and she took 3 steps back. But what are you doing? She's obviously alarmed. It was almost he wanted validation. That's one of their favourite words. He wanted to think there's another one out there like me Scientologists were all over the world, and I kind of pushed him away, and I thought, if you'd been on your own and approached two young girls like that, you probably would have been arrested.
Absolutely
and I thought, oh
true.
my God, this is
Yeah.
terrifying, that he would go up to these young girls and start talking like that to
Do you
them.
know something, Hayley?
I have a clue what it was like clutching at straws. That's what I always think.
That is so funny. Hayley, back in the day when I was in Scientology and I was sent to St. Hill for training, I was on the train going to East Grinstead, and I actually thought that every single person on that train was a Scientologist, right? When I actually got there and I realised that the town absolutely hated them, well, I know that's a generalisation, but just to specify, the majority of people in that town absolutely hate them. And the Scientologists were just a tiny minority. And cognitive dissonance right there, because like what's before your eyes is totally belying what you've been told, and yet you still carry on. That's a fantastic story, right? You know. So if anyone was called Ron, would he think that they'd name them after L. Ron Hubbard or something? You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it is a constant a craving, because and I always think deep down they must know that it's bizarre and insane, and that's why they want to keep reassuring themselves that loads of people are in it with them. But if they realise that, do you know what I mean? Then why are they still doing it? What is it that keeps them held in there? That's what I don't understand.
Well, they've got the only workable technology to help mankind out of all its problems, and the only workable technology that's ever been discovered in millions and trillions of years. So if you go against that, you're going against absolutely everything. And of course they have that, so they've got absolutely everything. I mean, they've solutions to every single problem you can name. They say...
But how on earth do they reconcile that with the fact that there are people out there like me who are good, decent people? I once said that to him. I said, do you think everyone in the world should be a Scientologist? And he said, yes. No, I'm not one. And then he once said to me, when we were having an argument about Scientology, he said, well, you love me because and I'm one. But I thought, no, it's despite the fact.
Yeah.
And there are qualities in me that were good and I wasn't one. So, you know, how did he reconcile that? I can't understand it. Did he go away and think, well, she's done this lovely thing today and she's helped someone and she's helped me, but she's not the Scientologist? Does it never, I mean, I'm speaking to you because you were one, does it never come into your head that people
it does.
Good without that?
It does, but you try and see everything through Scientology tinted spectacles, and if it doesn't fit the picture, you reject it. It's the exact opposite of scientific method. You know, it's the exact opposite. You just make things fit the Scientology mindset, and it's sad, but that's exactly what they do. It's also very scary because you're creating.
Then, isn't it?
It's what,
your
sorry?
eyes rather than opening them.
Yeah, I mean.
And it's abandoning critical thinking.
Totally,
completely,
absolutely, totally.
which goes against the tenets of science. So it's not Scientology.
It's not science in any way, shape or form. It is far from scientific. And then when Hubbard gives his lectures, it's just him telling stories. I don't know if you ever had the privilege of hearing them.
I've read. He even bought me some of the CDs with lectures on. I've tried, and I was laughing. I thought, this is just absolute drivel and bad drivel at that, badly written, badly pronounced. I was laughing at some jokes which weren't even funny, and I thought, how can anyone be duped by this? I tried.
Come on, he was a great guy. He was a great all-round entertainer and great guy.
Charlatan.
he had charisma, apparently, you know.
You can't criticise him there. Everyone Hubbard was God, and I lost count of the times in that relationship where he would just say, LRH says this and LRH says that. I thought, have you not got an opinion of your own on anything?
Yeah. Do you know something, Hayley? I really hope your ex gets to hear this so he can realise exactly what is missing. Because
I wish he would get to hear it as well.
Because you come across as really fine girl, and he's lost you, and he's given you up to a stupid cult. So I hope
it really annoys me because I know what a wonderful, happy, great life we would have had together. Because he said to me, no one in the world has ever made me laugh the way you do.
Wow.
We used to guffaw about things,
And he's given all this up, right?
He has. For what?
For what? Exactly.
What? That's
Exactly.
what's the sad thing about it.
Oh, God. So
I
if he was
don't know how
listening...
to respond to that card with that comment on it.
No,
I think
no.
I should make it obvious that I've seen
Okay.
through it.
Well, if he was
It started
listening...
off with this opacity and riddle, but now it's completely transparent to me, especially after I've spoken to you
Yeah,
about it.
okay.
It is so transparent, it's unbelievable.
So if he was listening, and imagine that he is, what would you actually like to say to him?
I would say anything that I have done that you consider to be suppressive or a crime is not suppression or a crime. Anything that I've done is my aim at protecting you from losing your freedom of mind, from losing your money, from losing the love and care that you deserve in this life and later in life when you're going to need someone to rely upon, and to give up joy and laughter and freedom and care and just sharing a life with someone. But the promises that they have given you, I think, is absolutely tragic. And I won't give up. I don't hold out any hope of us having a relationship together while you're in Scientology, but I will never give up on you. And I will continue to fight. And if one day you see the light and you come out, I'm going to be there to help and support you. And I won't want any reward for it. It's because I love you. That's what I would say to him.
Wow, that's very moving. And I totally understand where you're coming from there. And I hope he does get to hear this. And
Good
if he
one.
doesn't get to hear this, but some of his OSA handlers, Office of Special Affairs people get to hear this, would you
They
please
won't care. They will, they Pete.
cop yourselves on, guys? You are backing the wrong horse. Think critically for a moment of what you've been told and what you believe. And let's be honest. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. But
They can't, Pete. They can't. Ultimately, they can't win over love, over family.
absolutely
over care.
not. Absolutely not.
They try to crush these things because they are afraid, because they know damn well that is what people need in order to survive and be happy on this world. And without it, they're robots and they may as well
Oh
not
gosh,
exist.
yeah.
But they won't ever stamp that out.
They are
That's
afraid of
their
emotion,
vision.
definitely.
They're going to lose. It's not. We don't want an Orwellian society. It's never going to happen.
Well said, and that sums it up very nicely. I've certainly noticed that this lack of emotion that my brother has when I've tried to speak to him and when he's been involved in family things. And I remember saying to my mom one time, like, we were both at the house for my uncle's funeral and we were leaving, and I had already gave my dad a big hug, which shocked him a little bit because we're not a very touchy-feely family, and yet I kind of realised that, you know, time's moving on and my uncle's passed away and my dad wasn't very well anyway, so I gave him a big hug. I love my dad, I still do. He's passed now, but I love him to bits.
And you're not afraid to say it.
And I'm not afraid to say it. And I was in the next room just packing my stuff, and my brother then was in the kitchen with my dad, and he was standing about 3 or 4 feet away, and he said, "Well, take care," and turned and walked out the house. And I thought,
oh my God,
what the fuck? So then I, like,
so inhuman.
I know.
Unnatural.
He got in a taxi anyway and went, and I jumped in the car with my mom. She was taking me to the station, and I said, "Do you think he's a bit unemotional?" And she just burst into tears, you know. So, so the price we've paid as a family is just amazing, really, because like I've lost a brother, and he thinks I'm wrong for all the reasons that were mentioned in your card, you know. He's convinced.
You haven't lost a brother because you still consider him as your brother.
True.
You always will be his brother.
True.
It's him that's losing. It's him that's losing, and I think he will come back to you one
I
day.
certainly hope so, and I pray. And if he's listening to this, if he's listening,
it's very interesting what you just said about your dad and your mum and your brother, because my ex disconnected from his own mother.
Oh wow!
In his early 20s, and he never really gave me the real reason. I think it's the way he was bringing up his boy, possibly in Scientology.
But he disconnected from her.
She was a wonderful lady, from what he has told me. She was eccentric, but she was a very loving and caring mother. And she went to her deathbed dying of cancer, and he didn't go to her deathbed to say goodbye to her. And I'm sure he regrets it to that day.
That is just unbelievable. He didn't go and give her he didn't go and give any touch assist then.
I worked on him slowly, and he used to tell me about his mum. I would say, well, these things indicate how much she loved you. She was a loving mother. She did these things, but she cared. And he was beginning to soften and did accept, yeah, she was a good person. But he never got to tell her that. It was too late. So she died thinking that her son didn't love or care for her. And that caused a rift in his family, so he doesn't speak to his brothers anymore.
Yeah. That is...
It's cruel, it's harsh, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's immoral, it's against the way of the world, it's against the way humans have evolved in family groups.
Yeah.
And they want to destroy it because it's so powerful. And how anyone that's in there can't see what they're doing is beyond me. But they are so weak in their own convictions that the only way that they can separate people and keep people in is by doing that.
That's so true.
It's something fear. I take comfort in that they're scared of us.
Oh, I think they are. I try to compare what it was like when I was in and how did I feel.
Yeah, that's always an interesting take.
One of the things that I regret more than anything, and it's a fairly light incident, but a friend of mine came to see me from Canada, and I just thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to tell him how wonderful Scientology is. And I went on a sort of a half-hour tirade, which is almost exactly what Tom Cruise said on his tirade. You know, we are the experts in the mind. We can solve the problems of drug addiction. We are releasing, curing criminality, and basically it was just like everything that Tom Cruise said. And I was actually programmed to say that to people. And my friend afterwards, he said he couldn't believe it. You know, the person that he knew me to be wasn't there. You know, I was just this robot. And when I saw the Tom Cruise video, I kind of went, aha, you know. Yeah. So basically,
you can look back and see yourself.
I can, but what we're getting out of this is that we're getting these like Scientology clones who all think and feel the same way, which is like nothing. But they all think like L. Ron Hubbard thought, and they all believe that they're freeing the world of mankind's problems. And the people who are really doing that, they get a nod every now and again. But you know something, like here's the thing, like when they send the volunteer ministers to these disaster areas, they just get in the bloody way.
I know, they're handing out leaflets and not doing anything.
Yeah.
The thing I've always found distasteful about that, the majority of people that actually are doing something, they don't publicise it, they just go in there and they do it and come out quietly. You know, people saving lives.
That's right.
Nurses, doctors, that's part of their job. They don't get publicity from it. If you really want to do something, you do it for altruistic good.
But they're just wogs, Hayley, you know that, right?
Sorry?
They're just wogs.
They're just wogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's terrible, really, because when it comes down to it, a Scientologist needs a doctor sometimes, you know, come on. Like the touch assist is not the universal cure-all. It doesn't
work. I've seen that it doesn't work. He knew it didn't work.
Yeah, I must admit, like, oh God, I've had some very strange things happen with them, that's for sure.
I think a lot of the stuff that is involved in Scientology, auditing and touch assist in particular, they get you into a state of hypnosis. If you have any real study of the way that the mind works or the brain works, you can see that it's kind of a hallucinogenic or drug effect.
I actually think it's the placebo effect.
One thing that always made me very suspicious when I first got interested in Scientology through him, because I was always interested in the mind. I'm just a naturally curious person.
Yeah.
And I read the MSMH.
All right.
And then Ron dismissed. They were talking about cells and structure, and Ron said, we're not interested in structure here. And I thought, well, you're not interested in the mind then, because the structure of the brain in all species across the planet determines their level of intelligence. That's why our brain has got so many folds in it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they say that the
is directly linked to how your intelligence and understanding develops. So to dismiss that, I thought this is science.
Well, they say that the mind is not the brain. You know that, right? They say that the mind is not the brain. They say that the brain is this physical thing. You are a thetan, the spiritual being, and you have a mind, and you live in a body or whatever. And the mind is just a collection of pictures, but they contain all this other stuff as well. These 57 perceptics, they call them. It has to be somewhere. I mean, I don't particularly want to get into like the Scientology view on is the brain a mind or whatever, but it would have to be stored somewhere. These things, or is it in some parallel universe that we're not really aware of? I don't know. And you know what?
We don't know.
I don't care.
We're not arrogant enough to say we know. We're able to be sceptical and look at other viewpoints, so we're allowed to be.
We're free to examine the facts. Yeah. Well, that was a good pause.
Oh, I thought you was, last interview we had, when I played it back, I thought, I'm talking over the top of him and I couldn't actually hear you, that's why I was doing it. So I'm going to really be quiet this time, see if he has any questions.
Okay, do you know what I think it is? I think it's that there might be a slight delay because we're talking on Skype, and
Possibly.
That's how it happens. Because I certainly don't want to, I don't want to talk over you at all,
Yeah. Another quick thing when we were talking about, the science, and when I first met him, he saw a lot of the books I had on my shelf. It was like how brains think, and he said, brains don't think, and he dismissed all this literature I had, particularly my Carl Sagan books. And then I later realised why he dismissed him. I was watching Carl Sagan's Cosmos because it's a favourite series of mine, has been since I was a kid, because he's so open, he doesn't patronise people, and he's open to argument and criticism and analysis and sceptical thinking. A wonderful man, one of my absolute heroes. And he used to just take the mickey out of the way he talks. And I thought, if I dared do that to Liverless Hubbard, you can imagine the berating I would get. So why is he allowed to criticise people that I admire?
And do you know what disturbs me?
They knock critics. I thought, well, you're criticising people. It was the same with, I don't know if you know anything about Professor Brian Cox.
I do.
Coxie.
Yeah.
I love his series.
Yeah.
Because he makes science accessible to people. He doesn't dress it up in flowery language. And it's all about getting information across to people. And he would say, oh, we're dumbing down. I say, so what? If it gets the kids to love science, what does it matter?
Yeah.
He would criticise him. And when we watch programmes, he would talk over the top of them. And I thought, I wonder if it's because you're scared to hear anything that might challenge what you believe.
The thing is, Hayley, is like we can actually analyse things and be scientific and study things and look at them. They believe that they have that viewpoint, but it's actually what Hubbard told them, and it's only what L. Ron Hubbard said to them in a lecture or they read in a book, and that is the extent. That's the extent of their science. That's it.
So it's just quicksand, really, that they're standing on, isn't it?
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. When they get into a problem and they can't solve it, they say to themselves, "What would Ron do?" Get drunk, probably.
It's a sad and blinkered way to live your life when you think of all the wonders that are out there to discover. If we'd all thought like that, people wouldn't have gone to the bloody moon, found medicine. L. Ron Hubbard said that less than 1% of illnesses on the world were caused by bacteria.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage. You think of the people that have died of bacterial infections over millennia. Half the world's population were wiped out by the plague.
Yeah.
Where's their answer for all of this?
Well, they were all PTS, you see.
Right, okay. And also, if they've got the answer and they really want to save the planet, do it tomorrow.
Exactly, yeah.
And all these books. Because it's all about bloody money.
That's been my point for a long time.
If I had the answer to all men's ills and wars, I would let everyone know tomorrow.
Me too.
And I'd be the greatest woman on the planet, wouldn't I?
Absolutely, and I would totally be the same as that. If I knew something big secret, I would give it to everybody right away.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Any sane person would.
Totally. On that note, Hayley, I'm going to have to hang up here because this is my
We're going on, I know.
my Skype credit. And we've talked for half an hour about, so that should give us 2 nice segments for YouTube if anybody's bothered enough to listen. But listen, thanks for taking my call, and I'm really sorry to hear about the card and everything else. And
that's fine, it's just another in the past.
We'll talk again soon if something else happens, okay?
Okay. Nice to speak to you. Thank you.
You too. See you. Bye.
Bye.